Welcome to Real Genius. I'm Chris Vognar, culture critic of the Dallas Morning News.
And I'm the Unbreakable Robert Wilonsky.
You like Unbreakable, the movie, too. I did realize that earlier, the Samuel Jackson movie. But we're not talking about that.
In fact, I was really disappointed that the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt was not a sequel in which she has to go hunt down Mr. Glass.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
Bruce Willis. We are, in fact, talking about Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. This is the latest offering from Netflix, where they put it all out there and make you feel guilty if you don't watch all 13 episodes in the first day.
The best part is, if you, like me, start to binge watch, fall asleep, and then just keep playing, and you wake up and like, what am I watching?
Where
this is the 35th hour of the show.
What's my name? There are 13 episodes, new comedy. One cool thing about the comedies is that they're only 24 to 26 minutes instead of
22 minutes.
Yeah, or 22 minutes in some cases.
Well, this was made for NBC.
Right. This is, of course, let's cut to the meat of the matter. This is a show created by Tina Fey and Robert Carlock of 30 Rock fame. They tried to pitch it to NBC. NBC did not have a good show to pair it with, so now we have it on Netflix.
NBC didn't have a good show.
Yeah.
So they said, let's take the good one and put it on Netflix.
Ellie Kemper from The Office and from Bridesmaids plays a woman.
The great Ellie Kemper.
Plays a woman who's been in a cult, living in a bunker for 15 years, and she gets out and she decides to make a go of it in New York City.
It's like the Mary Tyler Moore Show with a culty vibe.
With a very, very wacky cast. And the thing I love about it.
So wait, you love it?
I like it a lot.
Oh wait, you just backpedaled from love to like a lot.
The thing I love about it is its daft optimism and just how, because that's
Wait, have you seen all 13 episodes?
I've seen 9, so I have 4 more.
Then I won't spoil the end for you.
But I've talked to people who think it peters out a little bit toward the end of the season. I hope they're wrong. It sounds like you.
So do you know who the cult leader is yet?
Maybe. Yeah, I do.
All
unfortunately, right. I cheated on IMDb.
Oh my goodness!
Found out.
That's too bad.
Yes. But this is a comedy about a cult survivor, which is an interesting combo to begin with, and she's just so perky and optimistic and unbreakable, as the title suggests, and the show surrounds her with all of these pretty wacky New York characters, including a gay roommate played by Titus Burgess, who's very funny, and Carol Kane as the landlord, and I think it's a lot of fun.
So let's take a look at the trailer for it so people can get a sense of it if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, you'll love to play along, because I have many, many thoughts on what is quickly one of my favorite TV shows of all time for a reason that I will enumerate, and we return from the trailer for the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Merry Christmas, sisters. Apocalypse, apocalypse, we caused it with our dumbness.
Let's go, let's go! We found them!
A miracle today in Durnsville, Indiana. 4 women rescued from an underground apocalypse cult.
It's all still here.
I'm not going back.
What?
I'm staying here.
Who is this?
I'm your new roommate. I will be very comfortable in here.
You got a secret.
I am one of the Indiana mole women.
From the news.
I spent 15 years in that bunker eating beans out of a Florida Marlins cap. I just want to be a normal person. I'm having candy for dinner. Scram, you stupid hoe!
So tell me, Robert, what do you love?
Well, I did, like I think I said this the other day. We live in the golden age of the sitcom.
Yes.
We're very fortunate. A few years ago, you could look at TV and go, there is nothing good on in the half-hour spot at all. Now, with Fresh Off the Boat, with the Goldbergs, with Blackish, with this, and with so many of other things, we're really fortunate. And the fact this is on Netflix, and I love the fact that it's not really Netflixy. There's no cursing in it. It's still very much something that could air on Channel 33 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just so kind of delightful that way.
It's also sort of post-sitcom-y.
Well,
I mean, when you say sitcom, I know exactly what you mean, but I think of Laugh Track and Formula.
See, I don't think of that anymore.
MASH / Cheers.
Because you didn't watch
Friends.
30 Rock, I don't think,
yeah,
very much. A lot?
I did. I think 30 Rock was kind of post-sitcom as well.
I think it became post-sitcom, and that's where I'm kind of going with this. Kimmy Schmidt reminds me of the last 4 seasons of 30 Rock. 30 Rock started out kind of as a standard workplace comedy. I mean, it wasn't The Office, it wasn't Winking, it wasn't, you know, the phony documentary, but it was pretty generic in a lot of ways, even though it had Tina Fey's sensibility and had Alec Baldwin and Tracy Morgan. But in its last 4 or 5 seasons, it became very Marx Brothers-y. Nothing made sense. Nothing tried to make sense. It was all very surreal. It winked at you to the point where you thought it was having a seizure. I mean, it really did kind of just. But we're just a lot of in-jokes, and it was kind of funny, and it didn't mean anything.
But it maintained a heart.
Yeah.
Through all of that.
No, it did,
and I think
this does too.
This has a lot. I mean, I think of something. I'm not a big fan of Seth MacFarlane's most of his animated work, for instance, because I think it really is just carpet bombing of gags.
Well, it's sneering too. It always
sneering.
feels like it has a bit of a contempt for the audience. Like,
Right.
I can't believe you people like this crap.
Right.
That always is how Seth MacFarlane's stuff feels. This is really thoughtful. It's really warm-hearted. I mean, the relationship between the 4 mole women is tremendously interesting, and it grows even more interesting long after they're out of the bunker. I just think there is something very funny, very smart, and very surreal about it. And I know it's been getting a lot of weird grief over its racial caricatures of whether it's the Native American background of one of the characters.
I'm so glad I haven't read such grief, because I think it's very off base.
It's surreal to see or Dong, Kimmy's boyfriend, which I can see if there is some question about the fact that here's a guy who who speaks in broken English. I do sort of understand some of the criticism of that character, even though he is supposed to be what he is.
But the whole thing has quotation marks.
Well, that's the
around
thing.
it.
That's what I want to talk about.
It's riffing on 16 Candles and Long Duck Dong.
His name is Dong, for God's sakes.
Exactly.
The whole thing takes place. It's like a David Foster Wallace were doing sitcoms. It would feel the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's all parenthetical. It's all footnoted. I mean, it's really sort of strange.
But it's very sweet at
like
the same time.
So you haven't seen when Tina Fey shows up?
I have not.
All right, so Tina Fey shows up toward the end, and a character that is just, I mean, she and another character, I don't want to give it too much away.
Don't spoil,
That's
man.
the problem with these shows.
Because a lot of people have not seen all 13.
A lot of people haven't seen one episode
of
yet.
This yet.
But people show up. Very familiar. Tim Blake Nelson shows up.
I just got to him. He's funny.
Just a lot of great actors.
Richard Kind. Very funny, as the worst GED teacher of all time.
Just a million people show up throughout the course of the show, but they all have these references that are, in some cases, really antiquated. Like pre-internet. People are going to go, I don't know who that person that they're referencing is. And it's kind of glorious, because that's the way Tina Fey's brain works. It's all a big, wonderful pop culture stew, even though it may predate most people's popular culture.
And it's so fast. I mean, it just peppers you. And again, I referred to MacFarlane, who I don't like that much, but I have always been kind of impressed by the sheer density of gags. You know, Mel Brooks, if you want to go back further, just had that approach where you just put as many gags in as you can. This has that, but it also seems to be doing something a little bit extra. It's got a little bit of heart and soul to it. It's got situations that are, like as you said, surreal and yet very funny and even kind of relatable, and especially in a crazy people in New York sort of way. It's riffing on Friends. In fact, it's got a long sort of homage. So I think the Vietnamese translation of Friends was 6 white complainers, which is fantastic.
There's so many phenomenal jokes. I mean, you have to go back and watch. That's the great thing about a 22-minute show. You can go back and watch an episode twice because you missed half the things, because they fly so quickly. The subtitles fly by, the little asides, and this is what she did on 30 Rock as well. I mean, if you go back and look at the episode with the Six Sigma episode, the board itself, you can spend 20 minutes just reading all the sort of things that were annotated. And that's the great thing about it. This is a show that comes with its own annotation, and it's just delightful. It's smart, it's wry, it's warm. It's all the things that network television is not, which is why it only makes sense that NBC said, you know what, we're going to pass, take it to Netflix.
It's fun. I can almost, as much, I do like the show a lot, as you probably guessed. I can imagine a parallel universe in which I hate this show, because it is a very strong sensibility, and I can imagine some people looking at it and going, I just don't get it. You know, I think
you say that about all the things we love.
I suppose, but something about this in particular, it's, and again, just the phrase "strong sensibility" just keeps coming into my head. It's very much a piquant sort of taste.
Look, I'm listening to the first 3 NERD records the other day in the car with my kid, who I think would love them because they're catchy, they're Pharrell. Hey, who doesn't love Pharrell? He goes, nah, they're just noisy. I'm like, wait, they're poppy, they're catchy. How are they noisy?
That's great stuff.
So it's weird to sort of hear that, you know, somebody you think is going to think it's just pop and frivolous thinks it's just kind of discordant. And that's kind of this in a way. I can see how people think this is pop, fun, frivolous, and I can see how other people think, I just find it very discordant.
And then you've got this character who has, you know, been removed from civilization and kind of placed, and that's the hook. You know, this very sweet-natured girl has no idea what's been going on in the world for the last 15 years, and she's plopped down in the middle of Manhattan, and that gives you so much ripe material, both pop cultural and otherwise.
And she dresses like the inside of a candy store. I just think it's joyful. That's what it is.
She eats candy for dinner.
That's what the TV show is. It's the rare, joyful show that does grow a little bit more, a little darker as it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it is about a woman who got out of a cult, so it's got
and has to confront her captor in court as we get toward the end of the first 13 episodes.
So that is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. Watch it all right now.
Can we just do TV for the rest of the? There's not a movie in the last 3 months that I've wanted to talk about.
We could negotiate that.
All right. So next week we'll talk about more television
or something like that
on Real Genius.
See you then.